year. This year for E-Club, we have two graduates. We have Zach Bober is graduating and also Kyle Mullinex. So I would like our graduate dad, one of our graduate dads, and I'll ask Brother Bober for the closing prayer, if Eric Mullinex would open us in prayer and ask God's blessing on the graduates. Mm-hmm. We've also started. Okay, I just want to welcome everybody to the E-Club Science Fair Luncheon and Graduation. This will be our 9th year. I'm already looking forward to next year because I'm excited that it's our 10th year. For those of you who don't, I think pretty much everybody here is regular except for we have all our judges with us today. So everybody, these are our judges who have been looking at your science fair projects and they're doing that. And thank you all for coming on this day. But the name Epaphroditus Club, if you're wondering where that comes from, is from Philippians 2:25. It says, "Yet I supposed it necessary to send to you Epaphroditus, my brother." And the idea here was that we as homeschoolers, what Epaphroditus was to Paul is what we ladies are to one another. And so we could put in there my sister and companion in labor and fellow soldier, but your messenger and he that ministered to my wants, so that we could be like Epaphroditus was Paul's support group, and that's what we can be to each other. And I'm very thankful for these ladies because through the years they have been my support group. I wanted to mention the teachers this year because the teachers have really put in a lot into this year. I went in alphabetical order, so starting with Janet Fox. Jan, where are you? Is she here? Oh, there you are. Jan did art this year. She's done art. How many years now have you done art? Okay, which I think is wonderful because Jan doesn't have her own child in E-Club, but she's a grandmother. And I think it's wonderful that she's participating in E-Club this way. If you go at lunchtime across the way, along that wall on the left-hand side are all the art displays from the year of what the kids had done. She also helps in anything that we ask her to do. She's our resident cake baker. When you go over there and you see the graduation cakes, those are made by Jan. Just always willing to step up and help with everything. So Jan, I have this for you. Thank you so much. This year, we had a theme for our devotions. It was the Meet Me at the Table series and all the devotions. Yay. All the devotions were recipe themed. So you'll see the, I'm sorry, I choked up on something. You'll see the correlation with what's in there. So, and then next I wanted to mention Micheline. She did gym this year and did a fantastic job. She has access to a lot of the Y things. So she brought things to use and just ran it like an actual gym class. And she headed up the exercise-a-thon and she headed up the science fair. That science fair, she put so much work into it. Every month she brought a boatload of books for mothers to look at. She brought information. She set it up. Spent a lot of time on this. So thank you, Micheline, for doing all that. And around the gym, you'll see the poster boards. That Micheline did all that as well. So this is for Micheline. Thank you. And last but not least is Kathy Mullinex. She's been teaching with E-Club like since the first year. She and I were like in the original group that started it. And she's my right hand, but she's also my second brain. Because whenever we have something like this, she'll say, did you do this? Yes, this. No, I did not. So I really depend on her to help me get things done. She helps with all the organizations. She sets up the display tables on this side she did. When you see the cookies, obviously we all recognize Kathy's cookies now. So she did the cookies for us. Thank you, Kathy. And the nameplates and also the programs. And you know what? I think we forgot to pass out the program. The programs are on the back table, so make sure you get one when you go out for memory, especially for those who are graduates. So this is for Kathy Mullinex. And then we also had something for Pastor, because Pastor comes and does chapel every month, but Pastor had a funeral to go to. And so this year Pastor's theme was a soldier theme. And he had his brother Paul still here, Miss Shirley. I think he might have had to leave. Brother Paul came today to fill in for him. And I came in at the end of it, and he did a fantastic job. But with Pastor, so our e-clubbers know, I did get him a tumbler. I asked Wendy what he would like. I gave her a few options, and I wanted it to be, thank you, Jeff. I wanted it to be a theme that goes along with his devotion. So it was a Soldier of Faith tumbler. And I got it, and the box said Soldier of Faith on it. And I wasn't going to open the box, but I thought, well, maybe they put the price tag on the bottom of the tumbler. So I wanted to make sure I got that off. And I'm glad I did, because inside was a Woman of Faith tumbler. So I already got hold of Amazon and said, I need another tumbler. So they sent it to me real quick, which was nice. But so anyhow, so for those of you, because I know some of the ladies couldn't be at the meeting this morning, since Pastor couldn't be here, we're going to give that to him Sunday morning. So if you did not, your kids are welcome to make a card, or your family can make a card, whatever you want, and we can add it to his gift bag still. Just get it to me on Sunday morning. So that is about it. That brings us up to our science fair, which is Micheline is going to take over for this, because she has put so much into this. I am ready for you. I'm going to turn on this microphone over here for the kids.
Okay. Is this on? Yeah, oh, it's on. I'm really excited about this. The displays next door are just amazing. You guys, where are they all? You guys all did such a great job. I cannot wait to see your presentations. So we are starting off with Nathan Whitaker. Is he in here? Oh, yeah, there you are. Okay. Do you need help getting do you have anything to put up? Okay. Well then.
My project is on. My project is on a balloon-powered car. How many breaths will make my balloon-powered car roll 3 feet? I chose this project because I like making things and it seemed fun. My balloon-powered car is powered by blowing up a balloon attached to the top of my car and then letting go of the balloon. I learned that the air trapped in the balloon is potential energy, and when the balloon is released, the potential energy is turned into kinetic energy, which pushes the car forward. This proves Newton's third law of motion, which states for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. My hypothesis was that 3 of my breaths would blow my balloon-powered car forward 3 feet, but I built my car by hot gluing 2 straws used as axles to the bottom of a bottle, and then I put wooden skewers through the straws to hold the wheels so that they could freely move. The 4 wheels were made out of the bottom of plastic cups. I cut a hole in the top of the bottle and through the cap. Here I placed the straw that holds the balloon, and then I secured the straw by hot gluing the end of the balloon to the straw. As I was experimenting, I observed that my hypothesis was incorrect. It only took 1 breath to roll my car 3 feet. This experiment proved Newton's third law is awesome.
Good job, Nathan. That was cool. Next up is Elijah Mullinex.
I wanted to see how different temperatures affected how high a bouncy ball would bounce. My I can never say the word. I guess. I think that the bouncy ball that was warm up in the microwave will bounce the highest. My materials were 3 bouncy balls, a yardstick, carpet, tile, a bowl, a freezer, and microwave. My methods, I dropped 3 bouncy balls from the height of 36 inches and didn't use any extra force. I did this when the balls were temperature and when they were frozen and after I microwaved them for 5 minutes. I recorded the results. See table 1 and table 2. You can see after when all the presentations are over, we go back to the other building. In my research, the bounciness of a rubber ball has to do with very tiny pieces of the material, as well as its shape, and the tiny pieces are called polymers. When a rubber ball hits something, it absorbs energy and releases energy really fast when you drop a ball. Gravity gives it the energy, is kinetic energy when the ball is moving. When it hits the ground, the energy goes into the ball and becomes internal energy and quickly changes back to kinetic, and that causes it to bounce. Some energy is absorbed into the material it's bouncing on. My results. Based on my experiment, temperature did not make a big difference in how high the balls bounced. But the balls bounced a bit higher when they were hot. Also, all the balls bounced higher on the tile than they did on the carpet. Thank you.
I forgot to say that the judges would have an opportunity to ask questions. Do you have any questions for Elijah?
Yeah. What made you decide to pick this project?
To be fair, did you have any questions for Nathan? I'm sorry, I forgot. No. Okay. All right, next up is Jackson King. Where are you going to stand?
My project is about making sound waves that you can see. This type of science is called cymatics. Sound waves are vibrations that travel away from the source of the sound. A low-pitched sound looks like this. A high-pitched sound looks like this. The shorter the distance between the peaks of the wave, the higher pitch the sound will have. You will need to remember this later. I tried 3 methods to use the vibration of the sound waves to move objects. The first method used a bowl covered with saran wrap. I sprinkled rice on the top, then banged a metal pan nearby with a spoon. This time nothing happened. The rice was too heavy. Next I switched to plan B, salt. This time the salt jumped each time I hit the pan. Now my mom needs a new pan because I dented it. Then I tried Plan C, which you can see for yourself at my display. I used the same bowl of saran wrap and salt, but this time I played music on a CD player. The salt jumped to the rhythm of the music. It was pretty fun to watch. The second method was done with the help of my dad and my piano teacher. My dad built this. It is called a Chladni plate. It is named for its inventor Ernest Chladni. Again, I sprinkled salt on the top. This time, my piano teacher and I took turns running the bow of a violin along the edge of the plate. It was hard to get to make a sound. If it made no sound, nothing happened. When we were able to make a sound, the salt moved. But this time it moved into a pattern. Every time it made a sound, the salt moved into an X, as you can see in this picture. The X pattern was made because of the frequency of the sound. Remember how the higher frequency sounds have peaks that are closer together? Well, the higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern will be. This is a picture of Ernest Chladni and some of the different patterns that can be made with a Chladni plate and salt. The X pattern was the only one because I was able to make because I didn't have access to the right instruments to make the higher frequencies. I tried with a bass guitar by laying the Chladni plate on the amplifier and also by laying it on top of a piano. With the bass guitar, the salt did move, but not into a pattern, but it did all seem to move to one side. We thought maybe the plate was tilted, but it was level. With the piano, the salt didn't move at all. I learned from this project that sound waves are fun to watch, that sound waves travel differently through different types of materials. That's why the rest didn't work, and they move differently to different frequencies. My conclusion is that it makes sense for sound waves to make patterns and for the salt to move in time to the music, because the Bible tells us that God created everything. Revelation 4:11 says that has created all. And 1 Corinthians 14:13 says that God is not the author of confusion, so God must have created sound, and because he created it, it must follow an orderly pattern. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Yeah. I have a question. Talking about visual sound.
Yes.
How do you think that, do you think that sound waves sound different to different people? In other words, the same vibration and stuff, where some people might hear a little different pitch than other people?
Well, I don't really know, but maybe.
Is this on? Oh. I'm just going to use this one because I messed up the other one. Next up, we have Natalie Whitaker.
My science report is on slime. Which recipe will result in the squishiest slime? I chose this science project because I like slime and I enjoy playing with squishy toys. My research taught me about polymers. Polymers are long chain-shaped molecules that slide easily across each other. I learned that properties of the glue in my recipe changed when I added baking soda and contact solution. This process is called cross-linking. It made it harder for the polymer change to slide around, making the glue thicker and turned it into slime. My hypothesis was I thought a larger amount of contact lens solution would make the squishiest slime. I figured out my hypothesis was wrong. A larger amount of contact lens solution made firmer slime, not squishier. In my experimentation, I added 3 different amounts of contact solution. The first slime I made had 2 tablespoons. It turned out to be the squishiest. The second slime I made had 3 tablespoons. It turned out to be the firmest because it had the most contact solution. The third slime I made had 1 tablespoon. It turned out to be the stretchiest. This proved that my hypothesis was wrong. I like doing this project and learning about polymers. Any questions?
What's your favorite color if you had like 2 different slides? Do you have a specific color you like making better than others?
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
It was the purple slime I made.
I came up here and I left my list behind. Okay. Caitlin's not here yet. Is she? Oh, she's here. Okay. Well, we're going to keep it in the order we had it anyway. So next up is Zach Bober.
Greetings. I decided to do the science project of how smell affects our taste. So have you ever wondered if smell affects your sense of taste? Perhaps you had a cold or sickness in the past and you didn't have much of an appetite. Why was this so? Could your lack of smell change the taste of things you love to eat? If so, how much does it affect? Today I'm presenting my simple study of how smell affects one's taste, and here's my process. I can't read my own writing, forgive me. I took 2 willing contestants and separately tested them. At first I had them blindfolded. I blindfolded the contestants and then placed them at a table. There was 3 plates before them. One plate was full of fruit: apple, pineapple, orange, tomato. On plate number 1, I coated the fruit with peppermint oil on a Q-tip, slightly dabbed with fruit, into which to mask the smell, so the components couldn't tell what type of fruit it was. All they could smell was pretty much peppermint. Plate number 2, I had the contestants plug their nose and just simply eat the fruit, see if they could guess what the fruit was. And then for the third one, I named control, is they could smell the fruit and taste it normally. Meanwhile, all of these tests were blindfolded, and they were on a toothpick in which they couldn't have their sense of feeling. For the results, as seen on the chart, the participant did well for the peppermint fruit, pretty much almost all except the tomato, but had more wrong on the plugged nose and good for the control. Meaning with smell and taste, as I mentioned before. I was surprised that the peppermint oil did so well, but the nose plug plate did not. Perhaps they could smell the fruit slightly through the musk of the peppermint oil. And based on the simple charts of nose plugged and control, it kind of proves my hypothesis to a certain degree of how it completely affected their taste. And the only reason they got so much peppermint oil right was they could taste certain textures because they eat so much apple and blueberries, for example. So they just knew in their mouth, based on the texture, that they were blueberries. That's what they told me. So in conclusion, In this experiment, we have found how smell affects taste, but the other question is, how much does it, this sense of taste, smell, affect taste? Let me see. Many sources have been made on this experiment and with deeper intel, and the answer is approximately 80 to 90% of our taste or flavor, is what you could call it, is derived from our sense of smell. And only 10%, roughly, 15 to 10% is from our actual taste buds, in which our mouth can only determine our taste from 5 different flavors. Let me see here. I went off the script, that was my problem. Taste itself is focused on distinguishing chemicals that have a sweet, sour, salty, bitter, or umami taste. Umami meaning savory. Japanese for savory. I don't know why we took the Japanese translation to describe savory in science. But, however, interactions between the smells of taste and smell enhance our perception of the foods we eat. In summary, smells affect the taste, or rather the flavor of food, and not by a little or half, but by a mere 80 to 90%. Thank you. Oh, yes, questions. Any questions? Shoot at me. What you got?
Did you do any testing as far as male or female? No.
I did.
Okay, great.
For male number 1, got a lot correct, like almost all of it. But it wasn't really the greatest test. I don't know if it was depending on gender, because he said he really couldn't taste it, the fruit, but he said just from the texture alone, he could tell it. So, and I think my problem with this experiment was I couldn't make it better. What I found out after doing it, which was my idea, was to take different flavors of yogurt and have them try different oils, smell different oils, to completely throw off their sense of smell. So they couldn't derive it from texture. But this is the female chart right here. I don't know if it's completely dependent on gender, probably not, probably majorly, but yeah. Any more questions? All right, thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Kyle Mullinex.
I did a science experiment on plant growth. My hypothesis was, well, what I originally first did was I wanted to know what would make a plant grow better. Just water, these Job's fertilizer sticks, or Miracle Grow. So I put water in just one. Well, I put water in all 3, but I put one Jobez in there, and one marigold growed in that one. I mean, they got the names right here. My hypothesis was I predicted that water would work the best because it's God's creation, and plants have always survived on just water alone. So, my method was on April 24th, we bought these plants. The next day, we replanted the plants, and then that's whenever I put in all the ingredients and stuff. Ingredients. I didn't mean to say that. I measured each plant every day with a ruler. They grew a lot quicker than what I thought. And I don't know what to say now because of that. Okay, well, whenever I was officially done with the measuring, I made this to see which one grew the most. And actually, although it doesn't look like it, plant 2 and plant 3 both grow 4 inches. This one only grew 3.5 with just the water. So it turns out my result was my hypothesis was false. The Jobs and Miracle Grow worked a lot better than the water. And whenever we bought these plants, the water was already tall. Like this one was already taller than the others. So that's why it looks a lot taller. Probably a few days older than the other ones. Then I did some research, and plants need 4 main things to grow. One of them is water. Plants need water for photosynthesis, which is where water and sunlight both. I went brain dead. I don't know why I went brain dead. Water is absorbed into the roots, which then travels through the whole plant, which causes it to grow. The second thing that the plants need is light. Plants use light energy to grow, and it creates carbohydrates, which causes growth. They also need good soil because all of the good nutrients that are in the soil, and air. Just like people, we need air to breathe. Plants need air too. And that's it. What?
When you did your experiment, where were your plants? Were they outside? Were they
Oh, they were inside. We kept them in the same environment. We put them on like a little, what would you call it, stand. We originally had 3 little marigold flowers, but they are sadly no longer with us because they all decided to die on me. So.
One other question.
What?
As far as the water technique, you water them just once?
We watered them once in like 5 days. Why am I not seeing it? We watered on 429 and 505. 1/4 ounce cup. I don't know that. I don't. That was a joke. All right. You're welcome.
Kyle, we didn't know we were getting a comedy show too. Thank you very much for
I'm a
that.
very good comedian when I want to.
I'm aware. Okay. Kyle needs another minute to get his plants, but next up is Daniel Whitaker.
Can you make milk out of plastic? Can you make plastic out of milk? The reason I picked this project, was because I thought it would be fun to see if I could make my own plastic. In my experiment, when the milk was heated and I added vinegar, the casein molecules unfolded and formed a chain. This chain was made up of polymers in a repeating pattern. I learned about polymers and I learned about polymers and polymers are made up of monomers, and monomers are made up of molecules. My hypothesis was that whole milk would make the plastic thicker. I tested 3 varieties of milk in this project. The 2% milk resulted in the less plastic. The whole milk caused the plastic to crumble. The chocolate milk was watery, but it smelled good. The reason for my hypothesis was since the whole milk is fatter than 2% milk, I thought it would make it thicker. So this proves my hypothesis was wrong. The result of the 2% milk is that it is squishier than the other ones. The result of the whole milk is that it was very crumbly. The chocolate milk got a little warped while it was drying. That's all. Thank you. Yeah.
I noticed one of the things you made from plastic. What else do you actually make? You have to use a mold to be able to do that. How do you do that?
I used a mold, but you can make it out of other stuff. It's just when it's drying, it kind of deforms just a little bit.
When you put it in the mold, did it shrink, or how did it effectively do?
It didn't shrink that much.
Surprised you didn't make a 50 bake. That's all
Probably. If you don't put the paint on it. Drink the paint. That's all.
Next up is Ryan Whitaker.
For my experiment, I wanted to find out the effects of hand sanitizer because it contains 70% alcohol and water on water-based and alcohol-based markers. I think the hand sanitizer will have more of an effect. For the water-based markers, I use Crayola markers, and for the alcohol-based markers, I use Sharpies. Water-based markers react with both water-based and alcohol-based inks. Alcohol-based inks are pretty resistant to water, and alcohol-based inks are pretty resistant to water and water-based inks, but do react with alcohol-based inks. The hand sanitizer I used was 70% alcohol, and the water I used was 100% water. The reason I chose to use water and hand sanitizer instead of a water-based or alcohol-based marker is because water and hand sanitizer have no color, so the markers will not be affected by the color of water or hand sanitizer. So first, for the experiment, I made approximately 1-inch squares of each marker I was testing. I made sure to get the same amount, or try to get the same amount of ink on each square by drawing over each square 3 times. I also tried to apply the same amount of water and hand sanitizer. Because the Crayola is a water-based marker, it will react with the water. The ink and the inks will react with the alcohol. The water and alcohol do not react with each other, so all the alcohol has to react with is the dyes and pigments. Alcohol basically destroys the water-based ink pigments and dissolves the ink. You can see that the ink just kind of smeared a little bit and bled around the edges. That was this one. The results were much better using water. Since the Crayola markers are water-based, water basically just re-wets it, so the ink and pigment smeared better than the hand sanitizer. That's that one. Sorry. Sharpies are alcohol-based markers, and alcohol-based markers are generally able to withstand getting re-wetted from water, but are supposed to react with alcohol, because they're alcohol markers. Sharpies did not have much of a reaction to the water. However, they did with the hand sanitizer. It was able to drag the most pigment out of every other one. That's that one. Then I took what I thought was the best results of each color and drew Dr. Robotnik with them, just because I didn't know what I could use all those colors for. Because he has all the colors of what I tested. I think this has the best results of each color, and this has the worst results of each color. For the best results of each color, I used the black Sharpie with water because I use black for outlines, and you don't want outlines to bleed because that looks bad. And red Crayola with water, just because I like the way that one looked. And then the yellow Sharpie with hand sanitizer and blue Sharpie with hand sanitizer, because that had the better color, even though it didn't smear as good. And I also drew a picture with the worst results. The black Crayola with water, the red Sharpie with the hand sanitizer, the yellow Sharpie with water, and the blue Crayola with hand sanitizer. Even though water on Crayola had the most effect, my hypothesis was right because the alcohol in the hand sanitizer affected both the Sharpie and Crayola. This really doesn't have a practical use and isn't important, but you can still use this information if you would like to draw But you can still use this information if you would like these effects on any picture you drew. The end. Do you have a question, Mr. Kim?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
What percentage of alcohol did you use?
Yeah, it was 70%.
Did you try any other higher or lower?
No, I just used the one hand sanitizer.
Did you use gloves or anything when you did the test?
No, because I wasn't really touching it.
Okay. Good job.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, next up we have Wesley Whitaker.
Hi. My science project is about getting electricity from a potato. And to know what my experiment was, you'll need to know how it works. So the potato battery is known as an electrochemical cell, which means it converts chemical energy into electrical energy by the movement of electrons. In the potato, electricity is generated by two chemical reactions between the copper on the penny and the zinc coated or galvanized nail known as the electrodes. The potato reacts with the metals releasing electrons. The copper attracts the electrons and the zinc pushes away the electrons. At the zinc electrode, positively charged hydrogen atoms and electrons are produced from an oxidation reaction with the potato. The electrons travel through the nail and the wire to the copper. The positively charged hydrogen atoms left behind are attracted to the copper with all the electrons. The hydrogen atoms then absorb the electrons from the copper in a reduction reaction and become neutral hydrogen gas. This reaction reduces the number of electrons in the copper electrode, causing more electrons to flow from the zinc electrode to the copper one. This completes the circuit and can generate electrical energy. I wanted to see how boiling the potato would affect the electricity it gives off. And since I needed 3 variables, I cooked one in the microwave and mashed it. So now I had a raw potato, a boiled potato, and a mashed one. My hypothesis was that the boiled potato would conduct more electricity than the other two because the molecules would be more spread out and the electrons could move more freely. Even though everything I read said that that's what should happen, the boiled one gave off about 0.39 volts, while the raw potato gave off about half a volt. And the boiled potato, the mashed potato did nothing. I'm not sure why the boiled potato didn't give off more than the raw one. It might be because I used small potatoes or I boiled it wrong, or because it boiled some of the electrolytes out of it. But I tried boiling another one and the same thing happened. So if I do it again, I'll probably use bigger potatoes. Overall, the raw potato gave off more electricity. The boiled one gave off the second most, and the mashed didn't do anything. I wrote something about how the pictures will be at my table, but this is here now. So, and why I did this, I just like potatoes, I guess. Any questions? Yes. I don't know. Probably, or I know a lemon works. It has something to do with the electrolytes and stuff. I know a lemon works. Any other questions? Wesley. No. I don't think it would make a difference. But also I could have soaked one in salt and that would have made it probably work better because there would have been more stuff for the electricity. Yeah. Any other questions? You have one?
Well, yeah. Well, I have two, really. First question, did you eat any of the potatoes that you cooked?
No.
Okay, good. The second question I have, you used the meter, right?
Yes, a voltmeter.
Okay. Do you remember what settings you used to do that?
Voltage settings? I don't know. I was measuring voltage.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fine.
Any other questions? Yes. I tried to use one, but it took too high of a voltage to get it to work. And I couldn't find any little cords. So no, it didn't work. Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Jonathan Schultz.
For the science fair this year, I decided to test out the quality of water in the area, from bottled water to pond water. So to do that, I used some water testing strips, and my hypothesis was that the filtered water would be better than the tap water as expected. But you know how we all claim that Hamilton has some of the best tap water, so I decided to put that to the test. The way I use the test strips is I put them into the water for 2 seconds and then took them out and let them sit for 15 seconds. The NO2 and the NO3 had to stay out for 60 seconds in order for that to show up. And I was very surprised at some of the results. And yes, the filtered water did win in terms of being better than the other one. I do think that it was probably a bit of a worse filter or older filter I should say, because it did add a bit of nickel into it. And one thing that I was kind of surprised about is not only did I test water, but I also did test Diet Coke and Mountain Dew. And I don't know if they're 100% correct because they have dyes in it, but the Mountain Dew showed 0 to 500 on the lead scale. And so that's definitely not good. And for the pond water and the bottled water, it showed that it had a pH scale of 9.0. And the desired amount of the pH for water is anywhere from 6.5 to 8.5. So those two were a bit high on the scale, being less acidic. And the tap water and the filtered water were very good in that area. While the main reason the filtered water did better is because it had less nitrates than the tap water. And I thought it would take out the chlorine in it, but it did not. There was still 0.05 on the total chlorine scale. And the alkalinity went for the tap water was 40, while when it went through the filter, it went from 0 to 40. So the result of my hypothesis was, as I said, yes, the filtered water, but every single one of the drinks are still good to drink, except for, as expected, the pond water is definitely not safe for you to drink. It was extremely high on the alkalinity scale and the pH scale, having 9.0 to upwards of that. And in the Zeller building, I have some test strips if anybody would like to take some home to try out. But just a warning, any drink you use it on will not be edible afterwards. I found that out the hard way. and so for the alkalinity scale, you want anywhere from 30 to 400 ppm, and for the hardness, that you would like anywhere from 60 to 120, and everything else had almost zero of everything, and metals only being the filtered water. So everything actually showed up decently good for everything, but yeah, the pond water's hardness was 25 to 50, which is a bit better than most of the others, and pretty much that is most of what I have here. Are there any questions? Yes, Mr. Bober? The pond water, I got it from behind Myers in those little apartment sections. So I just got it from behind Myers. Are there any other questions? Just no, it did not test for bacteria. For that, as expected, I'd have to get a microscope for that. Yes, Mr. Bober? I don't exactly know which kind of filter it is. It's just the filter that was in our refrigerator. So that's what I used for it. Are there any other questions? Yes, sir.
When you test the different waters, were any of them done like with a water softener, or do you know what a water softener would even do to your regular tap water? What's it supposed to do?
I do not, and I do not believe any of them had any water softeners, except for I do not know about the pond water if there was anything in there for some reason. So I am not entirely sure. Yes? Oh, yes, definitely. But is there anything else? Okay, that concludes my presentation.
Okay, next up we have Christopher Fox.
For my experiment, I made borax crystals. First, we took boiling water and then we stirred in borax laundry soap until no more would go into the water. I twisted up pipe cleaners and hung them from the string and put them in the jar with the borax water. Very quickly, the water began to evaporate and the crystals began to grow. Crystals are found all over the world. There are over 4,000 types of crystals. Crystals can be found in your home, like things in things like sugar and salt. They are also found in diamonds and snowflakes. Metals like gold and silver are crystals that form in crystalline structure as well as diamonds. Crystals come in all shapes and sizes. Crystals break in different ways. The way a crystal breaks is called cleaving. Some crystals break into flat sheets while others break into cubes or all different kinds of pieces. Quartz crystals never break the same way, and no two snowflakes are created the same. Crystals are always being made. They start out very small and continue to grow. Stalactites and stalagmites are a kind of crystal. They can grow into entire caves. Some crystals grow from lava like geodes. Others grow when water evaporates and leave crystals behind, just like my crystals. What beautiful things God has made for us to look at, eat, and use. I have enjoyed learning about crystals, and I hope you have too. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Do those things grow in trees, or kind of where do they come from?
They grow in trees and under the ground and in sand and in rocks.
Kind of ground.
Yeah, you can use it something.
Thank you.
Any more questions? No? Use the color.
If you could make a rocket that could get to the sun in 400 days, it would take 800 years to get to the next star. The sun is so big that if you took every single planet, moon, and meteor in our solar system and put it in the sun, it would be like putting a raisin in a basketball. Mercury goes around the sun every 88 days. The side facing the sun gets to be 620 degrees Fahrenheit. The dark side falls to negative 297 degrees Fahrenheit. Venus is called the morning or evening star because the light reflecting off its clouds make it visible to human eyes. The clouds keep the temperature on Venus at 896 degrees Fahrenheit. Earth is the only planet in the whole universe with life on it. Earth is 93 million miles away from the sun. Egyptians and Chinese believe that Earth had to be held by something, but the Bible tells us that Earth hangs on nothing. Mars is about half the size of Earth. It has two moons named Phobos and Deimos.
It is usually about negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit on Mars. Jupiter is 11 times bigger than Earth. If Earth were the size of a pea, Jupiter would be about the size of a golf ball. Some of Jupiter's moons are called Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Saturn has a lot of moons. Its largest moon is called Titan. Saturn has an average temperature of negative 220 degrees Fahrenheit. Uranus has 5 moons. It is about 1,780 million miles away from the Sun. It is the only planet that sits on its side and spins the wrong way. Neptune's temperature is about negative 355 degrees Fahrenheit. Neptune's day is about 13 hours long. Its year is about 165 Earth years. Pluto's temperature is probably negative 382 degrees Fahrenheit. It is 3,660 million miles away from the Sun, and it takes 248 Earth years for it to go around the Sun. Job 26:7. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place and hangeth the earth upon nothing. Thank you. Any questions? Okay.
Compared to Earth, is there any other studies like the Earth, as far as gravity, has water on it, or even land?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, I am very impressed with what all the kids did. This turned out far better than I expected it to. I love it because of all the learning that goes into it. Not only are they learning their subject that they're doing, they're also learning research, reports, computer skills. And I love all the, I don't even know if the kids realize that all the references to the Bible and creation that are in there. So everybody, you did a great job. Moms, you did a great job, because I know it was a lot of work for everybody. So thank you for doing all that. So we're going to have lunch in just a moment. We're going to pray, and then when we're done praying, kids, you can all put your science displays back together over there. Judges, you can take a second look if you want, and then you can collaborate on your final outcome of that. Everybody else, when you get over there, you can take a few moments to look at all the different displays. The art displays are on the left. The personal displays are on the right. Those are just things that the kids did, maybe projects at home, their favorite hobbies, just any personal thing that they decided to bring. And if you could give us a few minutes, and while you guys are looking at all that, we'll set up lunch real quick. And then we'll come back here. Does anybody have the time? What time is it? 12:13? Okay, so we'll plan on being back in here at 1:15 then. Sometimes it's hard with the talent shows or the science fairs. You just never know exactly how long you're going to need. So we'll take about an hour for lunch and be back in here at 1:15. Okay, I'm going to ask my husband